everyone. This is the Inspirational 30, and I'm your host, Jim Gardiner. Welcome back. And if you're new, welcome to the show. This is my kind of unique little privilege to sit down with some great people in our community and abroad that all share an inspiring or cool story to tell. They can be athletes, wellness advocates, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, authors, you name it. But we're all bound by one thing, which is hopefully to try to make you at home a better version of yourselves by inspiring you. So welcome. Now today's show, we're going to have some fun. This is a personal friend of mine and a personal story of the entertainment industry. We both share a history in the business. I've been in the business, was in the business for quite a while, not as long as my guest. But my guest makes a living as an actor, a stuntman, stand-in. He gets punched in the face for a living, falls downstairs. Got some really neat stories to tell about the industry, and maybe for anyone sitting at home that is kind of teetering about maybe jumping into the entertainment industry, this will kind of spur you in that direction. So today, get your safety harness on and join me for my friend Rob Hayley.
Thanks, Jim, and it's a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it. I didn't bring my stunt pads, but I think we're good.
Good, good. So, let's talk. Well, when did you started out in the business? Where are you from?
Ottawa originally.
Yeah, so you're on the other side. And you got into business when, roughly?
It was in 1995. I actually was living in Ottawa, and I would drive to Toronto on Sundays to take a stunt course, like learning how to fall downstairs, take punches and things. And did that for every Sunday for 2 months. And then I got my little certificate. And then I said, what do I do now? And they said, well, start off by doing extra work and, get some experience on film sets. Meet coordinators, network, and you just got to start at the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the grassroots approach that most people get. I mean, when I started in '93. And I moved to New York, and kind of the same thing, right? You just gotta learn about the business, and you gotta get out there. You gotta go to castings. You gotta do whatever you can to learn that skill set, right?
Yeah, it's a big part of it's who you know and who knows you. So you just have to make as many connections as you can, and just work hard. And always, my biggest thing: show up early, do a good job, listen to direction, and that'll get you a long way.
You know, I think in the business. Everyone associates working actors and just the business itself with the word rejection. How does one handle rejection in that business? Because it is brutal. And so I know for me, it took me a long time to kind of figure out that part of the business, rejection. You know, it's not necessarily always, it's not about who's the most talented. It's not about whatever. There's so many factors in the business, right? So how did you kind of figure out to make that work for you? You've had your share of casting after casting after casting, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you might go through 20, 30 auditions to book one role. You may be up for things from a stunt coordinator to double an actor or to be just a nondescript stunt soldier or cop or something. But then they'll want to hire their best friends first or people they've worked with in the past. So as a new guy, it's very difficult to break into that sort of circle.
So what can you... I mean, we'll get into it later, but as a new person, what do you think the best approach? Would you go back and do something different back then?
I would have started when I was a bit younger. I was 25 when I started, but still better late than never. I think just being on set and immersing yourself with as many people from all the areas of production is the best way, and just keeping your eyes open and your ears and listening. And just basically, you just go from there, and you learn so much just being on a film set as opposed to like going, doing stuff. Like if I worked at a restaurant and I was bartending or something, then I wouldn't be on a film set learning as I go along, So.
See, and that's something that, I think looking back at myself, one of the main things that really held me back is I couldn't rationalize that concept. I mean, I knew it was important to be on set, but at the same time, I was trying to do this. I didn't necessarily want to do all the extra work. Or I didn't want to do the overnight shoots and stand in the rain. And I regret not kind of immersing myself fuller in that, because you you do learn a lot. You network, right?
Well, yeah, you do learn so much, but the thing is you do get labeled sometimes as, oh, that's an extra or that's a stand-in, not a stunt performer or an actor. And the thing is I do everything from all categories, from background, stand-in, special skills, stunts, acting, doubling actors. The thing is I just want to work hard, and the more time I'm on set, the more opportunities that arise from it. So what's the word? I can't be ashamed of that. I'm a father. I have a family to support.
Well,
so
that's it.
every job I do, I'm a full union member. So every job it pays into my union, my benefits for the family and everything else.
Well, I mean that's what's inspired me about Rob since I've known him is, there is no ego attached to what he does. 1 minute, which we'll get into, you're hanging out with an A-list celebrity doing a big shoot, and the next you're standing as an extra on the street corner because at the end of the day, you have little ones at home that are depending on you, and like I said, there is no ego attached. You just love to be in the business, and that's what you're there for. So, it does take a special person, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, and because it is about hard work, Mm-hmm. But let's talk a little bit about some fun stuff. Let's talk about the stunt world because it's just a neat thing, and not too many people know about it. So you took a stunt class. What was your first stunt? What was your first gig?
Well, okay, well, the class, first of all, the stunt coordinators told me that don't put that on your resume, that stunt class, because it was, that doesn't hold any water. So then that's why I said, well, I guess I got to start doing extra work and maybe getting some skills, firing guns and so on and so forth. And then I got my first break from a show called Once a Thief. I think it was like 1996 or 97 in Toronto. And I was just hired to be a soldier for a few days and basically get shot. I had a shotgun or something, and I pop up in a farmer's field, and then I get blown away. So I just kicked my legs up and just dropped to my back, and that was it, first stunt.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, what do they call that in the business? When you pratfall?
There's just different falls. Yeah, pratfalls, or just you just basically hitting the floor or hitting the ground. And there's so many ways of doing it. Like are you getting shot? Are you getting punched? Are you getting So.
And that's pretty much the bread and butter of the stunt world. I mean, that makes up the majority of stunts out there, is being able to fall, take shots, do
and
things
react,
like that.
Yeah, selling,
react,
the reaction has to sell. So if you're getting punched or kicked, you have to sell that reaction. If you're getting shot by whatever the weapon is, you have to sell that reaction as well. And sometimes you're assisted by being on a wire or a ratchet. Back in the old days, it was like a jerk line. And basically, they could motivate you to go back very dramatically.
So yeah, let's talk about that, because there's ratchets, there's stair falls, there's burns.
Well, yeah, my first ratchet, I think it was probably on Fantastic Four. I had to double my first big ratchet anyway. I doubled Michael Chiklis on the first Fantastic Four, just for the scene where he was himself, and he gets slapped by Victor Von Doom and flies into a shelf like 20 feet. So I do like a full spin, like a rotation through the air, and hit the shelf with my head, basically. Even though I had my hand in front as I saw the shelf coming, had my hand up, but I hit it so hard that my hand just went back, smacked the forehead, goose egg right away. Yeah. The shelf snapped. It was bolted to the floor, so it snapped, and I'm laying flat on the shelf, and I'm smiling because my head's hidden from camera. You just see like me in the trench coat doubling Chiklis, and I wait for Tim Story, the director, to say, and cut. As soon as he says cut, thumb up right away to tell the stunt coordinator and the on-set first aid. The craft service girl there was also first aid, so she makes sure she's there to run in and check you out.
You went flying 20 feet in the air.
Yeah, 20 feet in like under 2 seconds. It was pretty quick. Yeah. So
that's like a ride.
Yeah, it's like a ride of the
Great
exhibition.
adventure or something.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a cable system that's attached to a harness.
Yeah, I have the harness on me, and it was a half wrap on this one, so it went under my armpit and pick point on my hip. So when it yanked me, it flipped me around like instantly. I was like upside down. And so
when you're ready, do you have to kind of take a deep breath, or like what do you do?
Yeah, you have to make sure the wire's taut. Like you can't have any slack in the wire, and you just and you just have to. You can't be early. You can't jump the gun. You just have to, when it goes, and you just go with it. Wow. Ride the ratchet. So
you've done a bunch of those.
I've done a bunch of those. Yeah.
Stair falls.
Stair falls. I've done two sort of pretty big ones. One on Bates Motel, doubled one of the fathers at Norman Bates in season 2, pushed down the stairs, and he snaps his neck at the bottom of the stairs. And the first one was on Stargate Atlantis, I believe, the TV series in Vancouver, and I had to double Robert Picardo, the actor, and He's hits a force field and trips and rolls down like 17 steps. 17 steps.
You went down 17 flights of stairs.
Yeah, he just the steps weren't a problem.
Yeah.
Well, there were wooden steps in the studio, built in the studio.
Yeah, but you still.
Yeah, but the problem was that the concrete floor, the studio floor, was concrete, and there was no pads on that because the 3 cameras that were filming this, and they saw the landing zone. So I had to spread out the impact over the concrete floor to make sure I didn't.
Okay, so wait a minute. So set this up for the viewers at home. You're standing atop 17 stairs, looking down. You're ready to go. You're probably taking a few steps back to get momentum.
Yeah, I have to take like 10 feet back.
Director's about ready to call out, or the AD is about ready to call action. Are you like crapping yourself?
Well,
seriously?
No, I'm trying to be professional. I'm focused, but also I'm thinking of my daughter that morning saying, "Daddy, be safe at work. Get home safe." And then my heart is beating when they're saying, "Are you ready? Your cameras are rolling." I'm like, "Set. Okay, roll cameras, sound speed, whatever." And my heart is beating through the chest. Like you can't stop that. It's the adrenaline. It just kicks in. And it just happened like the blink of an eye. You just do it, and you do 110%.
And you have to go. So in other words, there's no hesitation, right?
No hesitation. On action, I'm moving, and I take 3 steps down. I hit the invisible force field driver that knocks me out, and I fall like a rag doll. Just drop right down and just do like 2 somersaults.
I guess because the success of being a stunt guy is obviously you'd like to take everything in one take to preserve not only you, but
absolutely.
Right?
The less takes, the better. And production loves it because you're saving time as well, time and money. But it's also better for your body if you don't have to do 5 or 6 takes. And the risk of injury is greater the more you do it. So.
And obviously your body.
It takes a beating.
Takes
when
a beating,
you get older,
right?
like I'm 46 now, so I don't know if I can be doing the same kind of things that I was doing when I was in my 30s. But
you have your chiropractor on speed dial, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Like every few weeks for a tune-up, every month. Yeah.
Good. Well, have you ever been on the set where you've seen something gone wrong, stunt-wise?
Yeah, well, that's what we're all we try to prevent that from happening because the stunt is calculated risks, and we do rehearsals and precautions. But that's why it's a risk, and there's always a chance something goes wrong. But we're like a brotherhood. We always look for any dangers and look out for each other. And when things happen, they have paramedics, they have the on-set craft service first aid, and they're always there to take care of things when things do go the other direction. Right.
And it's always safety first, right?
100% safety first has to be, right.
And hopefully your directors and people like that are willing to make sure that happens.
Yeah,
right?
and the stunt coordinator will speak up if the director isn't aware of that, and he'll protect the performers. Yeah.
Good. So let's take a minute. I want to go through some of your body of work because it's kind of neat. You have a couple of some interesting little stories to tell. Yeah. So we're going to, for the viewers at home, we're going to flash up a couple stills, and maybe Rob and I will take us through that. So what do we got? Every actor has one shot that they always use, and yes, the old headshot. There you are, beautiful, stunning.
Well, that's supposed to be that was taken like at least 6 years ago or something. I've got more wrinkles and a little more gray.
Well, your hair looks about the same.
The hair's about the same. That's why the secret is you shave it and you can't see all the gray.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. All right, what do we get next? Well, here's a great one that you worked on.
With Harrelson,
Harrison Ford.
Yes, that was K-19, the Widowmaker, which we shot.
Movie, right?
The submarine one with Liam Neeson and Harrison Ford. They were the lead actors, and that was shot in a studio. They have all the compartments of the submarine in the studio in Toronto, and I was fortunate enough to be placed in the C3 compartment where the commanding officers like Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson were doing all the acting. And so it was not much. I was just basically the ballast, one of the ballast, the wheels for sinking and the submarine servicing. But Harrison was great. He would cool cat, talk to everyone. He asked what time lunch was. I think I was standing at the craft table getting some food, and I said, "Oh, I think it's at 2 o'clock." He said, "Oh, thank you," and carried on. It was great.
I mean, not between you and I. Like, he's kind of a legend.
All the Raiders films, Star Wars. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
What do we got next? Oh. The late, great Robin Williams.
Well, that was fairly recently. That was in 2014. Wow. The Night Museum 3, which we shot in Burnaby. And working with Robin Williams, there's no one that is nicer, more humble, just gracious, everything about him. It's only positive things to say about him.
Did you ever get the sense working with him that he was battling those demons?
He didn't want to show it to all of us working with him. He was the most professional. He was always the first one on set. He would say hello to everyone. He would never not shake your hand, or if someone said hello to him, he'd say, "How's it going, boss?" He'd call everyone boss. And his stand-in was amazing too. There's been with him for like since 1989, since like Cadillac Man or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just, it was a tragedy for everyone. It's the biggest loss that I think we've ever had to experience in this business.
Well, I mean, he's a pure icon. I actually got to meet him in LA. I was running a bar, and he came in for dinner. And he came around the other side, and he asked me if we had any good tequila, and so I brought him over to the bar, and so I said, yeah. So he said, you want a shot? I was like, sure. So we did a shot of tequila together, and cheers, mate. And then he went back to his dinner, and
that's a beautiful story.
He was just a great guy,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, what do we get next? Oh, Fantastic Four.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Chris Evans. Yes, that was pre-Captain America times. He was Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
I was doubling Chickless on the second one, the Silver Surfer,
Yep.
for main unit. And we had another stunt double that was on second unit. And yeah, basically, Michael Chiklis loved to do all his close-ups, so he'd be from the waist up. And then for the wide shots where they saw the full body with the heavy, 30-pound thing suit on, or whatever it was.
What you got over there in the corner?
Oh,
buddy?
geez, this survived since 2000. I don't know how we can, I can't really put it on now. It's falling apart.
Punch in and they'll-
Yeah, but anyway, this thing.
That's the
this
one
is
you
foam.
actually wore.
Yeah, this one I wore one of the days. Normally, it's several pieces glued together, but it's foam latex, and this thing called the Amica, they call it. It pops off, and then you can put some cold air to cool us down, because you get very hot wearing this thing. But it's just it's physically very draining when you're sweating in this thing, and it's like 30 to 35 pounds. And doing anything, just going up a set of stairs.
Yeah.
And if you have to do it like a superhero, it's even harder.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great experience working on that. And while Chris Evans, like that, the photo was taken by my buddy who was standing in for Mr. Fantastic for Yoan, and he got a shot. That was like late November 2016, 2006.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans and Jessica Alba and the rest of the cast, they were just awesome. It was just so much fun working with those guys. Yeah, down to earth.
Speaking of that, you worked on another big franchise. This one you worked on X-Men. You worked on a lot of the X-Men movies.
Yes,
right?
I did. Yes.
So here you are with the big guy, Hugh.
With Hugh, yeah. That was the second X-Men on location in Kananaskis in Alberta, Peter Lougheed Provincial Park, I think it was. And yeah, he's just like a real down-to-earth guy. We compared notes about hiking up the Grouse Grind
you guys
earlier.
had a Grouse Grind challenge, the two of you.
Well, he said the first time he did it, he felt like sick to his stomach when his trainer took him up. And then he was telling me what time he did it in. So I went and did the grind to compare times. And I was like roughly a minute or two difference from Hugh's time. So we tried to, week after week, I'd say, okay, Hugh, I did it in like 44 minutes or something, or 43. And then we got it down to like 40. We never broke 40. We got close, but.
There you go. Hugh, if you're out there watching this show, Rob and I challenge you to the Grouse Grind. I've never done it, so maybe I can finally get up there and do it with maybe the two of you guys.
Sounds good.
When he's back in van, we'll go over and challenge him. Now on the X-Men, also you did a lot of stand-in work for the legend.
Yes, for
Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
But yeah,
right.
I always call him Patrick. And like the first time I met him was in 1999. And Tom Siegel, the director of photography, said, "You want to meet Patrick?" And then he looked at me and said, basically, well, pretty good, but he's like, "You have to shave your head every day. It's a lot of work." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." He says, "Good, you'll do. Thank you." So that was the first one in '99 in Toronto, and then the second one was Vancouver, and then the third one was 2005 was Vancouver, and then I did that. This picture was from the Days of Future Past in 2013 in Montreal. And then the X-Men Apocalypse was the last one.
That's right. Tell us about Days of Future Past with Sir Patrick. So give us a little nutshell real quick on what happened.
Well, I had a hard time securing the job to begin with. I called the production office when they were in pre-production. And I tried speaking to them, saying that I was Patrick Skye for the first three X-Men's. And if he knew that I could come to Montreal and be his double again, he would be just thrilled, because he said I was his best that he's ever worked with. And she basically, well, I don't want to mention names, but I was kind of like, kind of said, yeah, whatever, we got people in Montreal. And then I tried a second time, didn't work. So I called Patrick Stewart from the number I had from the third X-Men, and it was his home outside of London, England. And his answering machine came on, it was Patrick, and the answering machine left a message. A week later, it's Patrick, and he said, "How can I help you, Rob?" And it's like, well, Patrick, quite frankly, I'm having a hard time getting the job in Montreal for you on the next X-Men. Name, number, I'll call you back in 5. 5 minutes later, it's taken care of, Rob. You're working. So it's like, It was that easy. Patrick made the call, and within 5 minutes, and I had the job as his double. He was only in it, for about a month of the film shoot, but it was still great to be there and work with him again.
That's huge.
It's still good, and I got family in Montreal, so I visited family and worked a bit as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, maybe I think they're doing another one, aren't they?
I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know. That's who knows, what's going to happen in 2017. But I'd love to be able to do another one. I've done 5 of them. So
I know 5 X-Men. That's great. I wish we could probably have a whole story just on talking about some behind the scenes. Our last still is I love this movie. Just did something to me. Took me to a different place. You had the privilege of working on The Revenant. What a grueling shoot that was, huh?
Yeah, well, I only worked on it for about 3 weeks in Calgary on location for the opening sequence, and then actually a few days prepping the grizzly bear attack scene, with DiCaprio. We did that like an hour north of Squamish off an old logging road in a location they found. So myself and other stand-ins were learning the lines and doing a blocking with Alejandro, the director, and Chivo, his director of photography, doing the scene, like after, Leo was found with the bear on top of him, they dragged the bear off and do this big scene. They just wanted to do it ahead of time so that they could prep for it, and whatever rigs they had to build for that location. So that was in the summer of 2014. They didn't film that till much later. But then I had the privilege of being asked to go out to Alberta outside of Calgary, about an hour outside of Calgary at one of the native reserves where they shot the opening sequence, which was just incredible.
That opening sequence is amazing. I mean, obviously the cold, the water, the
hypothermia. The stunt performers had dry suits, but the thing is, one of the native stunt performers, his dry suit had to be cut at the collar because they'd see it. So then he is filled with water, whatever, ice cold, from the river, and he had the scene with Tom Hardy where he gets hit with the butt of the rifle, and then it's one continuous shot. There's no cuts or anything. So it's floating away in the water. He's got to still stay basically passed out.
I read that Tom was like really always on the stunt, like in other words, he was always taking care of making sure everyone was looked after.
Oh, absolutely. You noticed that the guy was starting to turn blue. He was like starting to succumb to hypothermia, and Tom said, "Let's take care of the guy. Get some hot fluids, some soup." So safety number one, and Tom, was great that way. He made sure the stunt performers and Leo and Tom, great actors. Yeah, had all the other characters in as well. Incredible job.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's amazing, and I think too, you actually not just wrapped, but I know you were working on the latest Planet of the Apes for a long time,
yes,
right?
The Caesar War for the Planet of the Apes, right, the third in the installment. I was very fortunate to, at the first, I started as Andy Serkis's stand-in for, he plays the main Caesar, the ape.
Andy Serkis is another legend, all right?
Legend, and the most humble, gracious, again, everyone, he talked to every single person on set, the nicest guy. Andy Serkis. And then when Woody Harrelson came on in later at the end of 2015, so towards December, like Christmas and January, Woody Harrelson, I was doubling him, so I had to study the way he walked and moved, and did a lot of stuff to help Woody out, because Woody had something on his knee, some surgery, I think, on his left knee, so he was still recovering from that. So some of the wider shots I was able to fill in for Woody and mimic him.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, we do have to wrap it up, but I wanted to just take a moment because I think, like stand-in, which you've done a lot of stand-in with some big celebrities and whatnot, but it's such a unheralded part of movie-making business. I mean, people just think you're standing in, like the actors, they're lazy and they go off set and stand in, but like your job is to read the dialogue in the same tonations and beats and meters and all that stuff, right?
Well, yeah, different shows, they do it differently. Depends on on what show it is, what the DP wants or the director. But for the most part, you have to pay attention because you save a lot of time and money from getting it right in the setup of cameras and lighting for the actors that you're standing in for, so that when the actors are finished hair, makeup, and and all the preparations, they come to set and it's ready to go. They do one more rehearsal with the actors and they can shoot. And if we don't do a good job as a stand-in, then they have to relight or switch things up, and it's
time is money in that business, right?
Oh, it's just so costly, and they really appreciate having great stand-ins and people that pay attention. Yeah. So all the crew, like all across the board, all departments, it's a team effort, and like rowing, like he said, everyone has to pull their weight and everyone has to work hard. Yeah. And if everyone works together, they make incredible products, and that's why these films that we go to see are like you said, like The Revenant, just breathtaking and legendary.
I know. Well, I mean, you know, I wish we had another half hour to. I wish it was the Inspirational 60 with you.
Black Goose, we have some
You will
Guinness,
go
so we
for
can keep talking
there
at
we go.
the Black Goose.
I mean, you know, we have so many stories we could get into, but maybe you could just kind of. I want to bring it back to you know the reason of this show is to motivate and kind of stir something in the viewer at home, and you know. Let's just touch again on, just take us out with something inspirational to maybe someone at home that's thinking about getting into this, whether it's stunts, whether it's acting background, you know, like based on your experience, what can you give them and myself as a
Well, basically in a nutshell, I would say if you're passionate about something, don't give up and persevere and work hard and talk to as many people as you can that are in that profession so you can get little tips, whatever. And like I think if you want to start off in film, just be humble and start off as a background performer or something, work your way up the ladder, because you could start off doing that and meeting people who will give you a lot of advice and some tips, and then from there you just you gain more knowledge and power, and hopefully if you persevere you will succeed. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it, and you know, maybe we'll get you back on again, and after you get your next gig, or when you got a few more stories to tell, we'll get back on.
Anytime, Jim. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, listen, I want to thank Rob personally for being with us today, and you know, I think he took us out on a powerful thing, which is, you know, if you're passionate about anything, it doesn't have to be this business. I mean, you know, Rob just kind of gave us a microcosm of life in general, whether you want to go start up a business, climb the ladder in your corporate firm, you got to do what it takes, and you know you need to check the ego at the door, people. Ryan Holiday wrote a great book called "Ego is the Enemy." I really recommend it, but you got to put that aside and be willing to do what it takes. Put yourself out there. You can succeed. I think Rob is proof. You know, in a business that usually is built on glamour and you have to be stunning and good looking and this and that. No, it's not, you know, like there's jobs for everybody that wants to be in the entertainment industry. There's jobs out there for anything that you want to do at home. You guys can make it happen. So thank you for tuning in on this episode of the Inspirational 30. I hope you'll join us again. I look forward to seeing you on future shows. Thanks so much.